Did you know that there is an unofficial list for top 10 deadly sacrifices of all time? In this video, I'm going to show you a brilliant rook sacrifice which was played almost 100 years ago. If you watch the video till the end, there will be a bonus question to test your real chess skills. This game was played in Baden-Baden, Germany in 1925, and as white plays Austro-Hungarian grandmaster, author of a lot of endgame studies, Richard Reti, and as black plays world champion, French grandmaster Alexander Alekhine. Reti starts with the move g3. This was played in 1925, so we should not take the openings with a grain of salt. e5. Knight f3, e4, and the game continues with regular manner. It looks like Sicilian Alpine variation. d3, pawn takes, queen takes, regular developing moves, nothing special, and black includes bishop b4. Bishop d2, the pieces got traded off, and after short castle, white responds with c4. This is quite unusual setup. I'm confident that you haven't seen it a lot in your own games, but it's important to finish the development properly. Instead of Alekhine going for d takes c4 lines or c5 to break through in the center, he chooses one of the best option, knight a6. His plan is to go knight b4, attack the queen, and overprotect the pawn on d5. C takes d5 followed by knight b4, and after queen c4, he grabs the pawn on d5. Knight b3, c6, short castle, and rook e8. After rook f to d1, there are some problems along the d file. e4 can be one of the big threats, especially after inclusion of knight c5 followed by e4, so black has to react properly and tries bishop to g4. Pins the pawn to the rook and also tries to finish the development. Rook d2 followed by queen c8 sidesteps from all kind of danger, and knight comes on c5. Bishop h3. In these positions, if black manages to trade off the light-squared bishops, such as bishop takes and queen takes, there are a lot of problems closer to this king, because knight g4 is in the air, and white almost has no pieces defending its own king, which is definitely a bad news. Instead, white prefers to not trade off the bishops and go for bishop f3, which is of course one of the best options white can try, and bishop g4. Just repetition, we call it a Russian school. A lot of Russian grandmasters at that time especially were repeating the positions twice, so they were trying to figure out if it was like a draw offer, if the opponent was okay with that or not, but they were trying to change it on the third move if they were not okay with making a draw. After bishop f3, bishop g4 again, and here Reti decides to go for bishop h1. He doesn't really want to go for a draw, and Alekhine goes with h5. h4 is a big threat. Black wants to completely bust up the whole king side. If he will be successful, then white's big space in the center and extremely active pieces will not matter as much. b4, which is a logical approach, wants to play b5 on the next move, a6, followed by rook c1. h4, and after a4, h takes, and black goes with queen c7. So it is impossible to stop b5 coming next, and it's so common that white goes for minority attack, which is 2 pawns versus 3 on the queen side, and wants to break through and create even more weaknesses. At that time, if you can't stop it with the black pieces, I highly recommend you to create a counterplay. Mostly it will be on the king side, and you can also try it in the center as well, depending on the situation. Black plays with queen c7, and white of course pushes b5. A takes b5, followed by a takes b5. Here, if you're playing with the black pieces, you really would love to take it with the a pawn, because at least here if b takes c6, b takes c6 will be there, only one weakness you'll be having, plus the a file is opened up, and you might get some kind of counterplays. And here we go. This is one of the most iconic and memorable moments in the history of chess. Please take your time, pause the video, and try to find the best solution what Alexander Alekhine was planning to play as black. And the best move is rook e3. He sacrifices the rook. He's going after the attack on the king side, wants to grab the pawn on g3, and guess what? White can't even touch this rook. I'm confident that Reti completely missed this idea, and if this happens, black is gonna take on g3 with check, and after king f1 there is knight e3 with a checkmate, and in case of bishop g2 there is knight e3, which attacks the queen, threatens mate on g2 at the same time, and it's impossible for white to save the day. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe the channel, because whenever we reach 10,000 subscribers, there will be a free giveaway video courses from my website. So instead of taking on e3, but at the same time dealing with rook g3 idea, white decided to go with knight f3, which looks logical because it blocks the third rank. Especially at this point, it's a bit strange, but bishop f3 would have been a better option. And well, here computer recommends that the best move is to move the rook on a3 and try to use the rook along the a file. But still, white decided to go with knight f3, let go c takes b5, queen takes b5. Black seizes the momentum that the bishop is locked up due to knight f3. And here, black responds with the active play knight c3. Attacks the queen and threatens knight e2 at the same time. Rook is still hanging on e3, but so far black is creating even more dangerous threats. Queen takes b7. Queen c4 looks interesting, but black has even more aggressive approaches, such as rook a4. I know everything is hanging, but pretty much everything is under control. After rook a4, if white takes it with the knight, there is queen c4, otherwise the queen doesn't have any good square to go. So, after knight c3, white plays queen takes b7, and black responds with queen takes, knight takes back, and knight goes on e2. Just look at the situation. The rook is hanging, it's been forever on e3 square, and Alekhine doesn't even care about that. After knight e2, king h2, of course. Well, in case of rook e2, black is simply up an exchange, and it wouldn't be that difficult for black to convert it into the victory. So after knight e2, white moves the king up on h2, and black plays another aggressive continuation, which is knight e4. Attacks the rook on d2 and the pawn on f2 at the same time. Here white played rook c4, which is a good looking move. What happens if white takes on a3? The biggest downside of this move is that there is knight takes d2, and there are two threats. One is knight takes f3 and another is knight c1. In case of knight e2, there's knight c1 and black wins the game easily. So after knight takes c4, white chose to go for rook c4. Create counter-attack and hit the knight on e4. Because right now both of the rooks are hanging. c1 and d2 as well. So if white moves the rook away, knight takes d2 can lead to f takes c3 at some point. So black played knight f2. You might be surprised. Why not knight takes d2? Because it looks tempting. In case of f takes c3, there is knight c4. But the thing is that after that, there is knight takes d2. The rook is under attack, plus the bishop on g4, and it's not so good position for black to play. Anyways, knight f2 was captured, bishop g2, bishop e6. There are too many fireworks on the board, as you can see, and after rook c2, knight g4 check. King comes up, can't go backwards due to the back rank issues. There will be rook a1 with deadly threats, knight g3 is also in there. There are too many options. So after knight g4, white makes this set decision playing king h3. Obviously nobody wants to do that, but what to do? And knight e5 check. King h2, rook takes f3, and after rook e2, knight g4 again, king comes up, followed by knight e3. And now there is a discovered check, and the rook on c2 is badly hanging. After king h2, knight c2 was played, and after bishop f3, knight d4, white already resigned. The biggest problem of all is that the rook and bishop are under attack, and in case of rook f2, there is knight takes f3, rook takes f3, followed by bishop d5. Attacking the rook, the knight at the same time, which cannot be saved simultaneously. And this is the bonus question. Do you see the winning plan for black? Let me know down below in the comment section.